they're good. They're just, they're still missing parts, and I don't know when to go back.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my next, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when do I go back? So anyway, not important right now.
Okay. Well, this meeting is going to be us co-planning the cell regulation lesson plan.
Got it.
Okay. And so, do you have your
Nope.
your notes? Okay.
And I have the template already ready to go, and I have like a template of student materials ready to start doing stuff too.
You tagged me on the template?
Yeah, it's in. I sent you an email that has all of the stuff for the folder for the day.
Okay, cool. So let's just go into, so with the start of this lesson, we're gonna look at the content objective,
Okay.
and then we're gonna look at, we're gonna break down the content objective into the know, into the show.
Okay.
What students should show, meaning if they are annotating, if they have to draw a system, and then what they should know, meaning defining specific language and functions.
Got it.
Okay, and so with that, we're gonna take, actually, before we go into that, I want you to share your notes
Cool.
and the findings that you found
So
from the video. and
Yeah.
the PowerPoint.
So thank you so much for sharing that video. I don't know why I didn't think to do that before.
Mhm.
That was very helpful. Because I was actually thinking when you sent me the initial thing and I looked over the PowerPoint,
Mhm.
I was like, this isn't the same lesson that I'm like that they want because it doesn't have the same things. And then when I watched the video, it put them together.
Mhm.
And so I was like, oh, that's where that was my own personal gap. So thank you for sending that. Essentially, what I got out of it was we're discussing the overall cell cycle and how the cell cycle is regulated, meaning how there are different chemical reactions
Yes.
that start various processes
Yes.
in the cell cycle.
Yes.
And so like, that to me, like watching that video was so cool because it made, when I'm explaining things to kids, I don't often talk about it in the language of reactions.
Mhm.
And having that language was like, oh, this is really cool because DeMariana will ask me, well, when does it know to do that? When will it know to switch? And so I'm like, it's a chemical reaction as opposed to anthropomorphizing it and making it like a person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. And so, what specific chemical reactions did you notice most?
Okay, so the CKD regulator, the CDK regulators, right? There are like 4 of them, and how they react with cyclins. And they basically, like, some of them either inhibit DNA replication or activate it. And they do that by either binding to different proteins or, yeah, essentially binding to different proteins. So, like, the things that I heard were, like, the RB phosphate. The RB phosphate inhibits DNA replication. So that's when, so because it inhibits DNA regulation, when it's time for DNA replication, it must be, that thing must be controlled so
What
that,
thing?
the RB phosphate must be inhibited so that DNA replication can occur.
Yes.
Okay.
So you see, what did I do?
You forced me to be right is right.
Right is right, and then also force you to use what?
The science vocabulary.
Scientific language, right? And
Yeah.
that's where you want the kids.
Yep.
And so, since you've explained that to me, right? And it's not like going into it and just saying
Yeah.
CDK and RB and inhibit and activate.
Yeah.
It could be jumbled, right? And so, and the reason why I said the 2 separate resources because the video, right? They're moving. It's kinesthetic. They're moving pieces of the puzzle, as well as talking, which is now verbal,
Mhm.
right? You're learning with movement and verbal.
Mm-hmm.
And then the PowerPoint is actually you reading and internalizing,
Mm-hmm.
right? So putting those two together actually helped
Yes.
you understand the material better.
Correct.
And close the gaps that you may have had.
Yes.
Now, thinking about that, right,
Mhm.
and you sharing those notes with me, now we're gonna go into the objective for the content,
Yeah.
and we're gonna break it down to the know and the show,
Okay.
okay? Questions before we begin?
No questions.
Okay.
I'm just typing in the notes above the, I shared you with the specific lesson
Yeah,
plan.
I'm gonna open it
Got
up
it.
and then we will work simultaneously.
Got it.
So I'm gonna put on there, I'm gonna do 4 minutes because we're gonna break down the CCRS too. And if you need less or more time, then just, you can just let me know, okay?
Okay.
Mhm.
So just so that I'm clear on this,
Mhm.
I'm going to name the objective because
Mhm.
the objective that is currently listed in AP for All is not adequate.
So I can actually go into mine and help you.
Okay. Also, like, the criteria for success sometimes is a really good objective.
Mhm. So, and then we could bounce this off, and so I'll show,
Cool, yeah.
I'll read out what I have. I said,
Got it.
the content objective is to analyze nonfiction text to describe the role of CDKs in the progression of the sales cycle.
Okay. Yes. That is the AP for All. Yes.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, what, I'm sorry.
No, that's my that's my content objective that I broke off from AP for All.
Yeah.
So what AP for All has is that they want, it was much more than this, it was combined with the CCRS, so I broke it down, and I can read my CCRS to you. So my content objective, so with AP for All, read the AP for All objective.
So the AP for All objective was analyze nonfiction texts to describe the role of, what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're saying that there was a secondary objective that was the EMI, which is use information from text, images, or data representations to determine
Yes.
validity of statements, so describing CDK's role in the sales cycle.
Yes, but that's.
That's too much.
Mhm.
So that's what you're
And that's
cutting out.
confusing, right?
Yes.
And so I broke it down to content objective, and then from content objective, I broke it down to CCRS objective. And when I broke it down, remember we did the chart paper? Because it's easier for you to visualize and interpret the know and show when you break it apart, right?
Okay.
So if I'm just analyzing the role of CDKs in the progression of the sales cycle, I can even take out analyze nonfiction,
Yep.
right? And then if I go down to my CCRS, and am I going too fast for you?
No, you're fine.
Okay.
I'm perfect.
So if I go down to my CCRS is to determine which simple hypothesis, prediction, conclusion is or not consistent with 2 or more data presentations, model, and or pieces of information in the text.
Okay.
It's just the CCRS breaking down. What questions do you have?
I just will need to see that in writing. Like, I just
Oh,
need to see
yeah.
it in writing.
I can, let me paste it to you.
Cool. Cool.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's EMI. No, simple hypothesis. So making a hypothesis is EMI.
Mhm.
EMI like 40, 501,
Mhm.
401,
I
501.
want to say it's 501.
Yeah, it's still 501, but you just worded it differently.
No, it's the same as 501 that you will find in ACT or,
No. I'm saying it's the CCRS is still 501.
Yes.
But you just did a different way of
yeah, so what AP for All does is they combine the content
yeah.
and they combine CCRS, right? And then it can become difficult.
Uh-huh.
If you haven't mastered the objective for the content, then it's going to be difficult for you to master the objective of CCRS.
Uh-huh.
And so by breaking these two down into separate, okay, this is my content objective, this is my CCRS, right?
Okay.
And so and tell me to slow down if I'm.
No, you're perfect. That makes
going
so
too fast.
actually that makes a lot of sense if you want to now, like, that makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
I think I'm good on that. I understand why you
Okay.
did that now.
And so when I broke it down with content, I did my no for content, and then I did my show for content.
Okay. I got you now.
Mhm.
So that's what the student objective would be, the no and the show for the content, and then the no and the show for the CCRS.
Yes.
Cool.
And sometimes it won't always be like this for every objective.
Yeah.
That includes the CCRS, but this was just so full that it was needed to be broken down so that you can understand and interpret what should kids actually be learning and doing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that makes a lot of sense now.
Okay?
Okay, good.
So questions before we start?
None.
So now, for the content objective, we're going to do the no and show,
Okay,
okay? I'm gonna put 4 minutes on there,
okay.
okay? And then if you need more time, just let me know. And then if not, we can move on to the CCRS no and show.
Okay.
Okay?
No, it's just not very specific.
Okay. So I'll pull up mine.
And mine's up there too.
Okay. Let's see.
Uh-huh. When you say definition of proteins, do you mean just like the actual definition of protein or like the specific proteins?
There was specific protein.
Okay.
So actually, and I could put like, I could have put define, identify.
Yeah, no, I just
or
wanted
use
to make
the
sure.
details to see the function. And I could have used identify the functions of proteins and how they work inside.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
wanted to double check.
Mhm.
Because right now, my thought process in my head is, am I trying to do too much?
Okay, so when I was reading this, it was overwhelming.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I do like about this, it says, because the overall, at the end of this lecture, right, what should kids know?
They should know what a CDK is, what it is, how it works, and like the purpose, like why it exists.
So take it a little bit, scale down.
So they should know that CDKs exist and that, like, how they help progress the cell cycle.
Okay. So you're going there. The best question that I appreciate on this, is what happens when there is a deficit with CDK.
Yep.
Or various other moving parts.
Cool.
Or other moving parts, right?
Yep.
And so we know that at the end of this, right, they want a Socratic seminar that's leading to the kids understanding why cancer happens, right? Why does cancer happen?
Because of a defect with CDK.
Because of a defect with CDK, right?
Yeah.
So the kids should know that this protein is present to activate the different functions of a cell. If it is inhibited or if it is active, what can happen?
That cancer can occur.
Cancer can occur. But why is cancer occurring if it's inhibited or active? What's happening?
Because if it's activated at the wrong time, you could have an overwhelming growth of DNA, or
Cells.
overwhelming growth of cells,
Mhm.
which then causes a tumor.
Yes.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes. So it's, okay.
Mhm. And so now we know that at the end of the day, the kids should know that CDK is present, right? CDK transmits a signal to the cell to know when, hey, I should start reproducing or replicating, right? Or I should stop, right? If it increases the amount of cells, right, it causes cancer, which becomes a tumor. If it's inhibited and it's not working,
Then it
also
doesn't grow.
It doesn't grow, or it can be defective cells,
Yep.
right? So we want kids to know that. Questions,
Nothing. I think that made it a lot more simpler.
okay? And I think the CDK is throwing it off because, and I'll put another 4 minutes on here. When I taught this,
Yeah.
I said that protein, I never identified it as CDK. Moving forward, kids should know that
That it's
protein,
CDK.